one of your real recent videos where you talk about the royals and the reptilians. Very few people will actually take this seriously and actually look into this in depth. You said the Children of the Matrix, The Biggest Secret, were two of the books of David's that really did dive into this a long time ago, and he's gone into more of the Archon stuff and the off-world stuff lately. But one of the things you said in this video, you can see on Greg's Substack, which is fantastic, by the way, the Reese report. You said one of the most monstrous families on Earth. That's what you called the British royals. Now, what did you mean by that, really?
Well, if you take out the reptilian factor, which I don't think is that strange. When I got into, like I said, the Richard Hoagland moon thing was what really triggered me. But what got me there was aliens. Before I got into any of the stuff, I was studying aliens, which is probably, I think, the most important subject. And one of the giveaways is that it's so full of disinformation, very calculated, expensive disinformation has been invested into that subject. That should tell you all you need to know. But take away the reptilian part of it and just focus on the facts of what we know in the public. I mean, they are one of the most monstrous families there are, with the pedophilia, with their association with Top of the Pops guy. I can't think of his name right now. Savile. I mean, and then there was more. I think the reason I said that when I wrote it was because I started looking into it and I was like, trying to find more dirt on them, and then I found a couple other stories that I haven't heard before that I was like, well, I mean, that's an easy thing to say. And it's very interesting too, because the queen was such a, cartoon of like a sweet old lady, at least in her old age, so it's just very, I remember when I first read that she was a shape-shifting reptilian, it's like when I read these things, it's like I don't necessarily doubt them. I don't have a wall that comes up and says that's impossible, but I do have the natural, reaction of like, that's crazy. It's just wild. So.
But then you like myself, you go, I want to know more, instead of that's just nonsense. Some of the things about Savile alone here, what people don't know, like obviously he was very close to the royals. He was given the most excellent order of the British Empire in 1971. He had a knighthood in 1990, but what most people didn't realise, the first report of abuse, so a report to the police, was in 1955, and he's getting an order from the British Empire in 1971. They knew in 1955, but still giving him a whatever you call that, British knighthood, British Empire order in 1971, then a knighthood later. 1955, They knew this stuff.
Yeah, and I think what a lot of people are getting wrong is they're not perverts, and I think that's an easy thing to realize. On one hand, is because there is no, the idea of like a desire to have sex with children is something I find impossible to wrap my head around, and I think most people should find that impossible to wrap their head around. So it's not like they're kinky or it's a sexual perversion. It is the subversion and the destruction of innocence. And there's a lot of things. It's not just blackmail either. That's another short-sighted thing. I think the most obvious thing is it's part of the mind control. It's part of the trauma-based mind control to traumatize them as a child. And you can even go as far as the idea that it preps a human being to leave the body emotionally and mentally, allowing a vacuum there for something else to come into the body. Like I would imagine that the Windsor family, the characters that we're seeing in these bodies are not the characters that were born into these bodies, if that makes sense.